Verse 30, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. Backbiters. The original word is here improperly translated backbiters. Dr. McKnight equally misses the meaning of this term, which he translates revilers, distinguishing it from whisperers or, quote, persons who speak evil of others to their face, unquote, giving them opprobrious language and bad names. The word indeed includes such persons, but it applies to evil speaking in general, to those, in short, who take a pleasure in scandalizing their neighbors, without any reference to the presence or absence of those who are spoken against. And it by no means designates, as he says, the giving of opprobrious language and bad names, unquote. Such persons are included in it, but not designated by it. Whisperers or tattlers are evil speakers without any particular or peculiar distinction. Our translators have erred in rendering it backbiters. As Dr. McKnight has no authority to limit the word to what is spoken face to face, it is equally unwarrantable to confine it to what is spoken in the absence of those who are spoken against. The word translated whisperers refers, according to Mr. Tholick, to a secret, and the word translated backbiters to an open slander. Secrecy is undoubtedly the characteristic of the first word, but the last is not distinguished from it by contrast, implying publicity. On the contrary, the former class is included in the latter, though here specifically marked. Besides, though the communication of both the classes referred to may usually be slander, yet it appears that the signification is more extensive. Whisperers, as speakers of evil, may be guilty when they speak nothing but truth. Mr. Stewart has here followed Mr. Tholick. The former he makes a slander in secret, the latter a slander in public. It is not necessary that all such persons should be slanderers, and the evil speaking of the latter may be in private as well as in public. Haters of God. There is no occasion with Mr. Tholick to seek a reference here to, quote, those heathens mentioned by Cyprian, who, whenever a calamity befell them, used to cast the blame of it upon God and denied a providence. Nor is it necessary to suppose with him that the propriety of the charge is to be found in the fact that superstition begets a hatred of the gods. The charge is applicable to the whole heathen world who hated God, and therefore did not like to keep him in remembrance. This was manifest throughout the world in the early introduction of polytheism and idolatry. No other cause can be assigned for the nations losing the knowledge of the true God. They did not like to retain him in their knowledge. Had men loved God, he would have been known to them in all ages and all countries. Did not mankind receive a sufficient lesson from the flood? Yet such was their natural enmity to God that they were not restrained even by that awful manifestation of divine displeasure at forgetfulness of the Almighty. Although no one will acknowledge this charge to be applicable to himself, yet it is one which the Spirit of God, looking deeply into human nature and penetrating the various disguises it assumes, brings home to all men in their natural state. The carnal mind is enmity against God. They hate his holiness, his justice, his sovereignty, and even his mercy in the way in which it is vouchsafed. The charge here advanced by the apostle against the heathens was remarkably verified when Christianity, on its first appearance among them, was so violently opposed by the philosophers and the whole body of the people, rich and poor, learned and unlearned. This melancholy fact is written in the history of the persecutions of the early Christians in characters of blood. Despiteful. This term does not express the meaning of the original. Archbishop Newcomb translated it injurious, but though this is one of the ideas contained in the word, it is essentially deficient. It signifies injury accompanied with contumely, insolence implying insult. It always implies contempt and usually reproach, often treatment violent and insulting.